Today, I am here to share a story that changed my life forever. This story made me realize there is something beyond the glamorous world I am today seeing. Imagine this. There is this powerful guy who is fearless, who is a creator and destroyer of this universe. And on the other side, there is this beautiful woman who is gracious, who is also powerful, who can create and destroy anything and everything at the same time. Now, what happens when these two energies meet? Or why did they even meet? Is the story I read in Shiva Puran. Now, as an entrepreneur, what am I doing with something like Shiva Puran? This is where things change for me in my life, like I said. I was in Varanasi in the year 2023, sitting on the banks of River Ganga, like one of the esteemed speakers said, exhausted, clueless, cribbing about everything, tears are rolling down. Tourists around me are wondering, what is wrong with this girl? Why is she in tears? Being in this beautiful space, did she lose her purse? Did she lose her mobile? What is going on with her? But little did they know that I was fighting a battle within me. And as an answer, the air whispered something, and there was this random thought which said, why don't you read Shiva Puran? I was like, okay, maybe there are some answers for the questions that I am asking myself. Did anything change after I read Shiva Puran? I spent 1.5 years reading word by word every morning. Like I said, it did change my life, but was there a miracle or a magic? No. There was not a Prince Charming to rescue me from the situations that I was dealing with, but I was introduced to this word called a purpose. Now let's go back to the story. Long ago, Lord Shiva was married to Sati. Sati is daughter of King Daksh. He's also called Prajapati Daksh. The word Prajapati means he is the king of creation. Now when you're owner of something, ego becomes part of your character. And out of ego, he wanted to teach his son-in-law, Lord Shiva, some lessons. So he organized this yagna or a festival where he invited the entire world. But he did not extend this invitation to his own daughter Sati and his own son-in-law Shiva. Now Sati realized, oh my God, how can I be kept out of the guest list where it's my father who is conducting this event? Sati, being that adamant woman like most of us, will go to Shiva to complain about this. Shiva, being Shiva, calm, composed, he says, listen, let's not go. It's not worth our time because there is no invitation and we will not be respected. Again, being adamant, Sati decides, it's my father's house. What's so big deal? Let me go. And she enters this place to only hear bad things about her husband. Daksha did not leave any chance to insult Lord Shiva. He said, this guy doesn't belong to my class, he lives with ghosts, he is in cremation ground all the time. I don't know, what did you see? You ended up getting married amongst relatives. I am losing my face. Sati tried, negotiating this with the father, but Daksha, being Daksh, again, kept humiliating her, insulting her. Now, Sati was in a catch-22 situation because she couldn't go back to her husband because he cautioned her not to go. And here, the father is not owning her up. With no choice left, Sati sets herself on fire just to teach her father a lesson. On the other side, Shiva realizes that his beloved wife is gone, she's no more. And Shiva has already promised Sati that there cannot be another woman in my life. Now, he enters this scene with entire gun or his army to punish Daksh. Fair enough, he's punished Daksh, but he is now dealing with the emotions of his wife not being around him any longer. So Shiva is famous for this cosmic dance called Tandav, and when Shiva performs Tandav, there is nobody who can stop him. The whole world was trembling. And then the Lord Vishnu, the peacemaker, had to enter the situation, calm Shiva down, and Shiva realizes that there is nothing much I can do, but let me renounce the world. Let me get into meditation. Let me become that sannyasi and yogi that world always thought who I am. On the other side, while all of this is happening, there is this demon called Tarakasur. Tarakasur is meditating to please Lord Brahma. action matters in the faith we come from, right? So irrespective of you are a god or a demon, you will be rewarded for your actions. So after the intense meditation or the sadhana that Tarakasura does, Lord Brahma appears and says, okay, dude, I'm here. Now, what is that you want from me now that I'm here? Tarakasura seeks immortality. Then Brahma says, buddy, that's not possible. Anything that is created should be destroyed. Ask me something. That's when both Tarakasura and Lord Brahma gets into negotiation. And Tarakasura very cleverly asks that, okay, if not immortality, can I choose the way I want to die? And Brahma was like, okay, this is fair enough. Okay, tell me, how do you want to die? He says, I want to be killed by the son of Lord Shiva. Now he knows Sati is gone. There is no the other half. How will Shiva even bring a child to life? Brahma was like, okay, you're playing smart. Cool, here is your boon. So that's the story that changed my life forever. Now, after many years, Sati is reborn as Parvati. Tarakasura is not aware of this master plan, right? He is now growing powerful every day. He's conquering world after another. He's conquering hell. He's conquering heaven. So basically, he wants to be this master who will control everything. But God has a plan. So Parvati is born to King Himavant. The Himavant is the king of mountains. So where is Shiva meditating? He is meditating on one of the mountains, right? Who is the lord of the mountains? It's King Himavant. So he's still in his jurisdiction. And Parvati is now in her teenage. And she randomly hears about this guy one day, that there is this rough and tough, rugged guy, who's handsome, who lost his ex-wife, and he's still in love with his ex-wife so much that he is not interested in looking at any other beautiful creature on this planet Earth. Now, like all of us, at least most of the women in this audience will identify this. We always get attracted to that one wrong guy initially. We all have this edge of, who's this guy with a lot of attitude? Let me know more about him, right? That's what happened with Parvati. Goddess Parvati, the more she heard about Lord Shiva, she fell in love with this guy. Again, like one of our celebrity crush. We don't know whether I will ever meet Shah Rukh Khan, but I every day fantasize him. So that's what was happening with Parvati. And now, King Himavant realizes that my daughter is in love with Lord Shiva, so is there a way I can help? He was not like Daksha. He was a little matured. He wanted to give his daughter a fair chance to chase her love, basically. So now, because Lord Shiva is in his jurisdiction, Himavant goes to Shiva and says, you know what, you've been meditating here for the longest time. Is there anything that I can help you with? Very clever. Shiva says, nothing. I can manage all this on my own. He then says, I have a daughter. She wants to learn meditation from you. Can I send her to you? He's like, no, I'm not interested, especially with anything that is Prakriti, because I am Purush. I don't want Prakriti around me. I am an yogi. I am not interested in this. Somehow, King Himavant succeeds in appointing his daughter as one of those caretakers of Shiva's whole setup on this mountain. So Parvati is now all excited because she's meeting the love of her life, the imaginary guy she always had this conversation with. So she reaches the spot, takes care of Shiva's needs and wants every day, cooks for him, brings flowers, clean the place. She's doing everything. Months passes, but Shiva being Shiva is not giving any bhav. He still is in his yogi attitude. On the other hand, Tarakasura has now captured heaven. So all the angels, devatas from heaven ran to Lord Brahma and said, what did you do? Listen, he is now out of control, do something. So Brahma speaks to his subordinate Indra and says, you know what, send Kamdev, let Kamdev shoot an arrow of desire, so Shiva will wake up from his meditation, and when he is in the desire mood, let him see Parvati and something may happen. So now these guys thought, we have a game plan, let's do this. So Kamdev goes, reaches the site, Parvati is around Shiva, and he aims at Shiva and shoots this arrow. Almost in a second, when the whole world was waiting that now things will change, now Shiva is going to fall in love with Parvati and we are going to be saved, Shiva opened his third eye and Kamdev was turned into ashes in few seconds. Now imagine as a girl who is in love with this guy, and she was there only to witness the most darker side of Shiva, the anger of Shiva, where he didn't even take few seconds, to burn this guy into ashes. Now Parvati is petrified. She ran away from that place and she was questioning her decision. Oh my God, why did I fall in love with this heartless guy in the first place? I don't think so. This is the right decision for me. So days passes, months passes, but somewhere in the back of her mind, in her thoughts and in her dreams, Shiva is still there. She is unable to move on. And that's when Narada Mahamuni enters the scene and says, Parvati, I understand, because on the other hand, world wants them to meet, world wants them to, come together to give birth to this child. So Narada Mahamuni will now be a mediator and says, Shiva is a good guy, he's not that bad guy, but you need to know the way to get him to you. And his way is meditation. So here is the rule of this meditation. Why don't you go do meditation to win him back? Parvati is like, okay, I still have a chance. Let me try this. So she goes to jungle to meditate. Now, when one of us here in this room lose internet, we will lose our cool, right? We think the world is going to stop. But Goddess Parvati took 3,000 years. She spent 3,000 years meditating. The first 1,000 years, she only ate fruits that were available in the jungle. Next 1,000 years, she ate the leaves that were available in the jungle. And the last 1,000 years is when it got intense. She was only breathing air. Now, after this intense tapas, and now that Tarakasura is fully grown to be the baddest guy, everyone teams up and now rushes to Shiva again, to Shiva himself, and says, dude, all this is fine. You are a yogi. You are here meditating. We understand the loss of your first wife. But there is this girl who's putting all the efforts on this earth to get you to her life. And there is this demon who is conquering the world. Why don't you do something? That's when Shiva says, okay, fair enough. I know, I've acknowledged that this girl is been doing a lot of things. And he is the Lord of this universe. I'm sure he knew that this was Sati reborn as Parvati. So now he enters this place where Goddess Parvati was meditating. And he convinces her to get married. He says, now that I'm here, come, let's get married. Again, there are a lot of nuances in the story. It is very difficult for me to put that into the little time. But a lot of drama happens even after Shiva agrees to get married. Parvati puts a condition that you need to come ask my father. Lord Shiva says, you know what, I'm the Lord of the universe. I can't come ask you, or I can't ask anybody anything. What is this? She says, no, rule is a rule. You made this rule. You better follow. You come ask my father. Seek that permission. Finally, after all of these things, they get married and the Lord Kartikeya, their son, is born, and then he kills Tarakasura and the world restores it or goes back to its normality. Now you may be wondering, how did this story change my life? Every time I read a chapter, I took time to understand what is in it for me. Why was that thought seeded in me to read Shiva Puran? While I read Sati and the Parvati Kalyan story, I asked myself one question, that when these two powerful people knew that they can do anything and everything, why waited for 3,000 years? I mean, couldn't Lord Shiva, the moment Parvati is born, go there and say, you know what, she's born for me. Can I get married to her? And I don't think so Himavant would have said no, right? Or Ma Parvati would have just gone to Shiva, held him by his collar and said, you know what, dude, I am your Sati, let's get married. But none of these things happened. They waited for their purpose to come alive. So the thing that I learned and the thing that changed my life from that day was, everything is a partnership. And if there is no purpose, no partnership will ever survive. When I started my first venture, all I wanted was a visiting card that said I'm a CEO and a glass cabin. After a few months, after distributing thousands of visiting cards around, I lost interest. You see, I was also 19 and stupid or naive one point of time in my life. After a few years, with all the life lessons, when I started Timbuckdo, the first thing I asked myself was, really, you want a visiting card or you want a larger purpose? What is in that you're chasing this time? The answer that I got was, I want to help crores of students who are in their universities to earn their own money, have a better lifestyle, become an industry ready. And then I happened to meet my co-founder. The first question I asked him was, dude, what's your purpose with this? He said, I want to create an impactful venture. I was like, okay, we have a common ground, we have a common purpose, let's do this. If mine was to have a visiting card again, and his was to raise funds or earn money, I don't think so Timbuckdo would be here where it is today. So for me, everything today is all about finding purpose in every partnership that I would do, right? You guys choosing a course or taking an admission as a college, in a college is a partnership between you and the college. Somebody here saying yes to a guy is also a partnership. Somebody here would like to start a business, it is a partnership again. So each one of you, when you make any decision, please ask yourself, what's my purpose in this? Now it is easy to talk about purpose, give this gyan, but how do we find purpose? Is it like going to be on one of those social media reels that we binge watch, or is somebody going to send me an email saying this is your purpose? None of these are going to happen. One of those methods that I have identified every time to know what my purpose behind my action is virtual execution. I execute everything, including this talk here, to stand here. I have virtually executed this, in my mind. There are multiple videos, content available around this. Athletes, Olympic winners, people who have won Oscars, all of them talk about something called visualization or virtual execution. Just sit with yourself and execute every action or every decision that you would want to take. You want to be a content creator? Imagine you're already a content creator. Your mind will play devil's advocate. It will tell you what will go in your favor, what will you enjoy, where do you think you can't commit. So mind is the best advocate you can have for yourself. All it requires is to sit and ask this question, what's my purpose? Do I want this car because I want to show off it to my friends, or I need this car because my family should have a comfortable ride around? That answer will solve a lot of our problem, right? So for me, virtual execution is the tool that I use every time to figure out what my purpose is. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is one single purpose today for me to be here on the stage, is the partnership that I want to establish with you all and have a purpose to it. And that purpose is not to give you guys gyan. It is just to spark that thought of questioning yourself, what's my purpose? Trust me, actions bring clarity, heart gives you purpose. And that's the only way to live, love, and figure out why we are here. Thank you so much.